The village of Izu woke to the sound of talking drums. Roosters crowed, women hurried to the stream, and children ran barefoot across the red earth, their laughter mixing with the morning air. But all eyes were on one compound that morning, the home of the Okri family. Their son, Emma, was leaving. Emma stood tall and lean in a crisp white shirt and brown trousers, his polished but worn shoes catching the sunrise. His sharp eyes betrayed a mixture of pride and fear. Today, he would board a lorry that would take him away from Izu, away from the cracked mud walls of his home, away from everything he knew. His mother, Maman Gozi, sat on a stool in front of the compound. Her wrapper was tied tightly, but her face was streaked with tears. She pressed a kola nut into Emma's palm, whispering, "My son, may your steps find favor. Don't forget us." Her voice broke as she spoke. Beside her stood his father, Pa Okri, frail, grey-bearded, leaning on his wooden stick. His hand shook as he placed it on Emma's shoulder. "Remember, my son," he said, his voice thin but firm. "A man's true home is where his ancestors lie. Go, work hard, but never let the foreign land steal your heart." Emma nodded, biting his lip. He wanted to speak, but the lump in his throat choked the words. His younger siblings crowded the doorway. One of them, little Chidinma, only 7, with short braids and wide, hopeful eyes, ran to him. She clung to his leg, whispering, "Brother, don't forget my doll." Emma knelt, brushing her hair with a sad smile. "When I return, Chidinma, I will bring you more than a doll. I will bring you a better life." The air thickened with the beat of talking drums as neighbors gathered. Men clapped his back, women sang praises, and children danced in the dust. A rattling lorry, old but sturdy, rolled into the yard, raising red clouds as it stopped. The driver shouted, "Quickly! We must go!" Emma lifted his small bag, the only luggage he carried into his future. His mother wailed as he climbed aboard. "Emma! My son!" she cried, running behind as the lorry began to move. Her wrapper flapped in the wind, arms stretched desperately. Emma leaned out of the window, waving until his arm ached, his face blurred by tears and dust. The lorry roared down the winding red road, leaving the village shrinking in the distance. Neighbors stood silently now, watching until the dust settled. Pa Okri, standing under the Udala tree, tapped his stick into the earth and whispered, "The eagle has taken flight. May he soar, and may he not fall." And so, Emma's journey began, not with glory, but with tears and faith. A boy leaving Izu, chasing a dream across the seas, carrying the hopes of his family on his shoulders. The first morning abroad was not what Emma had dreamed. He had imagined streets paved with gold, smooth roads, and a life of opportunity waiting at the door. Instead, he stepped into a city buried under white silence. Snow falling thick and heavy, swallowing cars, covering rooftops, painting the world in a color he had never known. It looked beautiful from the window of his tiny rented room, but the beauty ended the moment he picked up the shovel. The cold slapped him across the face. His thin coat did little to protect him. His ears stung, his fingers burned, and his boots soaked through. Each breath rose in clouds of steam, reminding him how far he was from the warmth of Izu. The foreman barked orders. "Move quickly. Clear every sidewalk, every step. Don't leave ice behind." Emma bent low, his shovel biting into the frozen ground. Each scoop felt like lifting a stone. The hours stretched endlessly, the sky pale and unkind. Beside him, other immigrants fought the same battle. One cursed loudly in a language Emma didn't understand. Another hummed an old hymn to keep rhythm with his shovel. Emma stayed silent. Sweat mingled with the freezing air, chilling him to the bone, but he refused to stop. He had not come all this way to give up on the first day. When the week ended, his body ached in places he didn't know existed. His hands were blistered, his back stiff, his shoulders sore. But when the foreman handed him an envelope, his first pay, Emma's heart leapt. The notes inside were not much, yet to him, they were gold. That night, he sat in his room at a small wooden table under a weak bulb. Carefully, he divided the money into 2 piles, one for his rent and food, the other to send home. His stomach growled with hunger, but his lips curved into a faint smile. "Better they eat in Izu," he whispered. then I live in comfort here." He bought paper from a corner shop and began his first letter home. His handwriting shook from exhaustion, but his words carried pride. "Mama, Papa, I arrived safely. The work is harder than anything I've ever known. I shovel snow from the streets before the sun rises. My body aches, but I endure. I've received my first pay, and as I promised, I am sending money home. Please eat well. Let my siblings not go to bed hungry. Better days will come." Weeks passed, and the cold did not soften. Each morning, Emma dragged himself out before dawn, shovel in hand. Loneliness pressed on him like a heavy blanket. In Aizu, he had known the laughter of siblings, the smell of yam cooking in his mother's kitchen, the voice of his father under the udala tree. Here, silence was his only companion. Yet he endured, whispering to himself, "I will work. I will send. I will return." Still, light found its way to him. One evening, in the immigrant dining hall, he met Kofi, a broad-shouldered Ghanaian with a hearty laugh. Slapping Emma on the back, Kofi said, "Brother, snow is a wicked master. But if we survive the first year, we survive anything." Emma smiled faintly, and for the first time in months, he felt less alone. On Sundays, when he had no work, Emma walked to the park. He sat on benches, watching children throw snowballs, their laughter piercing the cold. He thought of Chidinma and whispered, "This pain is not forever. I will make it home." And as the first year closed, Emma looked out of his frosted window at the falling snow and clenched his fists. "Aizu, my family, I will not fail you. This is only the beginning." Winter finally loosened its grip, and the first flowers of spring pushed through the cold ground. By then, Emma's body was leaner, stronger, hardened by months of shoveling snow. He had survived what many could not, the cruel initiation of life abroad. One morning, while clearing the last patches of ice near City Park, a man in a thick brown coat stopped to watch him. The man had a stern face, but his eyes softened as he observed Emma's steady hands and determined posture. "You," he called. "You've been here every morning, never late, never idle. What is your name?" Emma straightened, panting. "Emma, sir. From Nigeria." The man nodded. "I am the supervisor for this park. We need someone like you, disciplined, reliable. Can you read and write?" "Yes, sir," Emma replied quickly. "Then report here tomorrow. No more shoveling streets. You'll join the park crew." That night, Emma could hardly sleep. For the first time since leaving Aizu, he felt a door opening. The next morning, he wore his cleanest shirt and combed his hair carefully before reporting for duty. The work was still hard, but it carried dignity. Emma trimmed hedges, watered flowers, swept paths, and greeted visitors. He was no longer invisible. People smiled at him, nodded at his neat jacket, and recognized him as part of the park staff. His pay was modest but steady, enough to survive and to send home. That evening, he wrote to his family, "Mama, Papa, I have good news. I am no longer working on the frozen streets. I now care for the city park. My pay is small but steady, and I send some home. Please use it well. Tell my siblings to study hard. Our future is being built one stone at a time." Weeks later, Mama's reply came, her handwriting shaky but joyful. "My son, we are proud of you. The money helps us eat. Your brothers and sisters go to school because of you. May God keep you safe." Emma pressed the letter to his chest, whispering, "I will not stop." Months passed, and Emma became a familiar face at the park. He worked with care and carried himself with quiet dignity. He smiled at children, calmed quarrels, and did more than was asked of him. One afternoon, after resolving a fight near the fountain, the supervisor called him aside. "Emma," he said, "you don't just work with your hands, you work with your heart. From today, you are park manager. You'll oversee others, keep records, and handle visitors. The pay will be higher." Emma's chest swelled. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." That evening, he walked home lighter than air. In his dim room, he wrote home immediately. "Papa, Mama, I have been promoted to park manager. The pay is better. I send more money this month. Please continue what you are doing, feed the family, and keep the rest for the future. One day, our story will change completely. In Izu, villagers gathered to hear Mama read the letter. Our Emma is now a park manager, she declared proudly. Cheers erupted. Some nodded with respect, others whispered in admiration. Children chanted his name as they played. Emma had become more than a son, he had become a symbol of hope. Emma remained humble. On Sundays, he would buy roasted corn and sit quietly on a park bench, imagining his siblings under the mango tree at home. He dreamed of the giant house he would build one day, a house that would honor his father's words. As he closed his eyes, he whispered, "These sacrifices will not be in vain." The boy who once shoveled snow in silence was now a man of responsibility. Step by step, Emma was rising. And with each rise, his family's hope in Izu grew brighter. By the time Emma settled into his role as park manager, life had steadied. He had survived the worst of winter, earned the respect of his supervisors, and proven to himself that he could rise from nothing. But deep inside, Emma longed for more. He had not left Izu to stop at modest pay. He had come to transform his family's destiny. One chilly morning, his supervisor called him into the office. The older man studied Emma thoughtfully. "You've worked here with honesty and discipline. I know a man in the city who needs reliable staff for his firm. The pay is far better than this. I recommended you." Emma's heart pounded. "Me? In a firm?" "Yes, you," the supervisor replied with a smile. "Don't waste this chance." That week, Emma borrowed a tie from Kofi and polished his old shoes until they shone. He walked nervously into a tall office building, clutching the hope of a brighter future. The manager across the desk asked questions about his education, his experience managing people, his ability to keep records. Emma answered with calm confidence, his sharp eyes steady. At last, the manager leaned back and nodded. "You are hired. Report Monday. Your salary will be..." He wrote the figure on paper and slid it across the desk. Emma's jaw dropped. The number was 3 times what he earned at the park. His breath caught as he whispered, "Thank you, sir. Thank you very much." When he stepped outside, the city looked different. The streets seemed brighter, the sky wider. He stood still, raised his hands slightly to the heavens, and whispered, "Thank you, Lord. My time has come." On his first payday, Emma sat in his room staring at the crisp notes spread across his table. Tears blurred his vision. He remembered the cold mornings shoveling snow, the hunger pains he endured just to send money home. Now, here was abundance. He didn't spend it recklessly. He knelt by his bed and prayed, "God, you have remembered me. Let me never forget those waiting in Izu." That night, he wrote to his family, "Mama, Papa, my life has changed. God has opened a new door for me. I am now working in a firm, and my salary is far better than before. From this day, let us plan not just for today but for tomorrow. Start the foundation of the giant house. Begin to build the commercial houses. Save the rest in the bank. I am not here forever. One day, I will return, and I want to return to something solid. Tell my siblings to study hard. Our dream is becoming reality." When Mama read the letter in Izu, neighbors gathered around. Her eyes shone as she lifted her voice. "Did I not tell you my son would bring us honor?" The villagers nodded, clapping. "Emma will return with glory," they agreed. In the city, Emma's life transformed, but not in wasteful ways. Many of his fellow immigrants bought expensive clothes, drank heavily, or wasted money on fleeting pleasures. Emma lived simply. He ate plain meals, wore his same old shoes, and saved diligently. Kofi teased him one evening. "Emma, you earn good money now. Why not enjoy? Buy a car. At least better clothes." Emma shook his head firmly. "I did not leave Izu to shine here. My enjoyment is at home, when I build the house my father dreamed of." Kofi chuckled. "You are too serious, my friend. But maybe that is why you will succeed." At night, Emma sketched on paper, wide verandas, tall buildings, rooms filled with light. He tucked the drawings under his mattress like treasures. Each line of ink was a promise, to his father, to his mother, to his siblings, and to himself. He could already see it, the day he would step back into Izu, walk into his own compound, and hear villagers whisper, "Deh Emma has returned." And he did not fail. The breakthrough had come, but Emma believed it was only the beginning. The letter came on a cold grey morning. Emma had just returned from work, weary but hopeful, when the landlord handed him a thin envelope. The handwriting on the front was familiar, but shaky. His heart sank even before he opened it. With trembling fingers, he tore it open. The words blurred as he read. "Emma, my son, your father has passed. He fell sick suddenly. We did all we could, but the Lord has called him home. We buried him near the Udala tree, beside your grandfather. Your mother weeps. If you cannot return, know that he blessed you until his last breath." The paper slipped from his hands. His knees buckled, and he sank onto his bed. The room spun, and then came the tears, deep, aching sobs that racked his body. Images flooded his mind. His father's cracked voice on the day he left, "A man's wealth means nothing if it does not reach home." The trembling hand on his shoulder. The weak but proud smile as the lorry rolled away. Emma buried his face in his hands. "Papa," he whispered through tears, "I promised to make you proud. Why didn't you wait for me?" That evening, Kofi found him sitting in the dark, eyes swollen from crying. "Emma, what happened?" Emma looked up slowly. "My father is gone. He died, and I was not there. I could not bury him. I could not even say goodbye." Kofi placed a hand on his shoulder. "My brother, death is a road all men must walk. But hear me, your father left this world proud of you. Continue his dream. Build what he wanted. Let his name live through you." Emma nodded faintly. The grief did not lessen, but the words planted a seed of resolve. That night, Emma forced himself to write through tears. "Mama, my heart is broken. I cried until my eyes were dry. I wanted to return, but I cannot leave my work yet. Forgive me. I will honor Papa's memory. I will send more, not just for food, but for the giant house. Build it big, so that when I return, I will sleep in a room that carries his spirit. Build also the commercial houses, so money will flow. I will not stop sending. This is for Papa." When Mama read his letter, she wept, holding it to her chest. "My son is far, but his heart is here," she told the villagers. They nodded in admiration. From that day, Emma's life took on new urgency. He accepted extra shifts, slept less, ate less, and saved more. While others spent their wages on clothes or pleasures, Emma tightened his belt. His sacrifices were no longer just for his siblings, they were now for his father's memory. Each time he sealed money into an envelope, he whispered, "Papa, this is for you. Rest well. I will finish what you started." At night, Emma dreamed of the giant house. He pictured walls rising tall, verandas stretching wide, and his siblings studying under bright lights instead of kerosene lamps. He saw his mother sleeping on a proper bed, his father's spirit watching proudly from the Udala tree. The dream gave him strength. Whenever exhaustion dragged him down, he whispered, "This pain has meaning. I am building a future for Papa." Before bed, he often pulled out his father's old photo, pressing it to his chest. "Papa," he murmured, "I will not fail you. One day, I will stand at your grave, not in shame but in honor. Wait for me in the land of spirits. I am building your dream." Emma did not know that while he sacrificed abroad, back in Izu, a silent storm was already gathering. The postman had become Emma's favorite visitor. Every few weeks, a letter arrived from home, the envelope marked with his mother's familiar handwriting. Each word inside carried him back to Izu. One evening, Emma tore open an envelope and found not just words but a folded sketch. His mother wrote, "My son, the foundation of the giant house has been laid. The builders are at work. Soon walls will rise, and you will be proud." Emma unfolded the paper with trembling hands. It was a rough drawing of a large house, its verandas wide, its roof steep. His eyes glistened with joy. To him, this was not ink on paper. It was a glimpse of the future. He carefully placed the sketch under his mattress as if it were treasure. Night after night, he pulled it out, spreading it on his small table under the weak bulb, whispering, "One day, this will not just be paper. One day, I will walk inside." At the cafe where immigrants gathered, Emma showed the sketch to Kofi. His eyes shone with pride. Emma. A giant house. You are doing well. Not every man here can boast of such. Many send money home and see nothing. You are blessed. Emma smiled, chest swelling. I promised my father. Even in death, I must honor him. My family will never live in mud again. By the time I return, they will live in a palace. Another friend shook his head with envy. Emma, you are not just living for yourself. You are living for all of Izu. Emma nodded solemnly. Then I cannot fail. Month after month, the letters grew more encouraging. The masons are molding blocks. The roof will soon be placed. The commercial houses will bring tenants by the time you return. Each word painted a paradise in Emma's mind. He worked with renewed strength, saving every kobo. At night, he dreamed of walking through gates he had paid for with sweat. His replies were filled with instructions. Mama, build carefully. Save the rest in the bank. We must protect our future. One day, I will return, and I want something solid. Back in Izu, his name was on every tongue. Women at the stream said, Emma is building a giant house. Children sang his name as they played. Men nodded and declared, he has broken the curse of poverty. Mama Ngozi walked proudly, clutching her son's letters. Though her face carried new lines of worry, her words to the villagers never faltered. My son is building. Soon you will see. But behind those letters lay a truth Emma did not know. The land chosen for the giant house was under dispute. The Nwokoro family claimed it belonged to them. Lawyers and judges demanded endless fees. Instead of confessing, Mama chose silence. Why trouble my son, she thought. Let him believe we are building. When the case ends, I will truly build. One day, he will thank me. So she wrote cheerful updates while spending his money in court. Each envelope that reached Emma's hands carried promises. Each coin that left his hands fed a battle he knew nothing about. One evening, Kofi frowned as Emma shared his excitement. Emma, families sometimes write what you want to hear. Are you sure? Money sent home is like water poured on sand. It disappears. Emma bristled. Kofi, do not say that. My mother would never deceive me. I trust her with my life. Kofi sighed. I only hope your faith is not blind. But Emma closed his eyes and whispered, not my family. Never my family. Emma did not know he was building a palace in his mind while weeds grew where his house should have stood. In Izu, the story of Emma's mansion had become legend. Villagers imagined tall walls, shining windows, and a compound large enough to host the whole community. But behind Mama Ngozi's confident words lay a truth she guarded fiercely, truth that grew heavier with every passing month. One early morning, a court messenger arrived at her compound. He carried a folded document with red stamps. Madam Ngozi, he said firmly, the Nwokoro family insists this land is theirs. Report to the court in Owari. Her knees trembled. She had already attended several hearings, each one draining Emma's remittances. She glanced at the half-built foundation now overgrown with weeds. The masons had long abandoned the site, waiting for payment. She whispered to herself, if Emma knew, his heart would break. Better he believes progress is being made. The courthouse was a world of its own, lawyers in black robes shouting, clerks stamping papers, judges frowning from their high seats. Mama sat quietly on a wooden bench, clutching her wrapper. Each time the case was called, lawyers argued fiercely over who owned the disputed land. One lawyer leaned toward her after the session. Madam, if you want this case to move, you must pay more. Justice is slow unless it is fed. She nodded weakly, knowing the money had to come from Emma's next letter. So, while Emma imagined his mansion rising, Mama poured his sacrifices into endless legal fees. Every month, the story remained the same. The walls will soon be raised. The roof will soon be placed. At first, the villagers believed her words. But as years passed with no building in sight, whispers grew. Women at the stream murmured, "We hear Emma's money is being swallowed by court." Some men shook their heads, a giant house, yet no one has seen even the roof. Still, Mama held her ground. Whenever confronted, she lifted her chin. The case is almost over. Soon Emma's house will stand. Be patient. But at night, she knelt on the cold floor of her hut, tears streaming. God, forgive me. I did not mean to waste his labor. I only wanted to protect his future. Please, let this case end. Meanwhile, Emma's letters glowed with hope. Mama, use the money wisely. Buy good cement. Hire trusted builders. Make the house strong. And Mama replied, My son, the walls are rising tall. The roof will soon cover us. Your father's name is being honored. Emma would read her words by candlelight, pressing the letter to his chest, whispering, Thank you, Lord. My sweat is not in vain. One evening, as Emma shared the latest sketch from home with Kofi, his friend frowned. Emma, years have passed. You've sent money for more than one house, yet you've never seen a photo, never received proof. Emma stiffened. Are you saying my mother lies? Kofi sighed heavily. Not lies, perhaps. But maybe she hides the truth to protect you. Families do that. Emma slammed the table. No, Kofi. She is my mother. I trust her more than myself. But later, alone in his room, doubt crept into his heart. For a moment, he wondered, but then he shook his head violently. No. My mother would never betray me. Never. Back in Izu, Mama's health was fading. The endless trips to court, the shame of whispers, the guilt of using Emma's money, it wore her down. Yet she could not bring herself to confess. If I tell him, he will collapse abroad. Let me carry this cross alone. So she continued the charade, sending letters filled with hope while the weeds on Emma's land grew taller than the foundation stones. Emma, thousands of miles away, believed he was building a palace. In truth, he was financing a battle that had no end. The years rolled by, and Emma's heart swelled with anticipation. Each letter from Mama spoke of progress, the walls standing tall, the roof nearly complete, the commercial houses ready for tenants. In his mind, he had already walked through wide verandas and greeted neighbors from tall balconies. At last, the day came. Emma had saved enough to return. He packed his suitcase carefully, slipping his last savings into an envelope tucked inside. As the lorry rattled away from the city, his chest rose with pride. Izu will see me not as the boy who left, but as the man who conquered. The closer the lorry drew to his village, the louder his heartbeat. Children ran alongside the vehicle, shouting, Emma is back. Deh Emma has returned. Villagers poured onto the roadside, craning their necks to glimpse the man who had sent wealth across the seas. Emma leaned forward eagerly, eyes searching for the mansion he had built in his imagination. But as the lorry slowed near his family compound, his smile froze. There it stood, the same crumbling mud house he had left behind. The roof sagged, the walls cracked, the compound unchanged. His suitcase slipped from his hand, thudding onto the ground. He staggered forward, disbelief clouding his sharp eyes. No, no, this cannot be, he whispered. Villagers exchanged uneasy glances. Whispers spread quickly. Is this the mansion he built? Where is the palace we heard of? At the doorway, his mother emerged. Older now, face lined with worry, her wrapper faded. She forced a smile, but her eyes brimmed with tears. Emma, my son, welcome. Emma stared at her, trembling. His vision blurred, the ground spun, and with a sudden cry he collapsed. Villagers rushed forward, fanning him, sprinkling water on his face. When he finally opened his eyes, his voice cracked with anguish. He looked at his mother and whispered in Igbo.
Ọ bụ gị bụ nne m? Nne m, ị na-ekutakwa ume?
Are you truly my mother? Are you breathing at all? The crowd gasped. His words were not madness, they were heartbreak. How could a son who had given everything return to find nothing? His mother fell to her knees, clutching his hand. My son, forgive me. The land was taken to court. I spent the money fighting for it. I thought I was protecting you. I thought. Emma pulled his hand away, voice trembling with rage. Protecting me. Mama, you destroyed me. I sent my life, my sweat, my blood, and you fed it to the courts. The villagers shifted uneasily, shame flooding the air. Once they had praised him. Now, silence fell heavy around them. Emma clutched his chest as tears streamed down his face. He looked around the compound. The same mud walls, the same cracked floor, the same broken dreams. I built castles in my mind, he whispered, but I have returned to dust. Once more, his body gave way, and he collapsed. His siblings wailed, rushing to his side. Villagers murmured, Deh Emma has been betrayed. That night, the compound sat in eerie silence. Emma lay awake on a mat, staring at the cracked ceiling. His mother sat weeping quietly in a corner. The house, once imagined as a mansion, was nothing but ruins. Emma whispered to himself, all those years, all those sacrifices, and for what? His chest tightened as the realization struck. He had not just lost money, he had lost trust, family, and the very dream that carried him through snow and hunger. The eagle that had flown so high had returned, not to glory, but to ashes. Morning broke over Izu, but for Emma, the light brought no warmth. The songs of birds, once sweet, sounded like mockery. He sat in the courtyard of the crumbling house, staring at the cracked mud walls. His siblings hovered silently, their eyes filled with confusion and shame. At last, Emma turned to his mother. His voice was heavy, sharp with pain. Tell me the truth, Mama. Where is my house? Where are the commercial buildings? Where is the bank savings? Tell me what you did with my years. Mama's hands trembled as she knelt before him. Her eyes filled with tears. My son, forgive me. The land was in dispute. The Nwakaros dragged us to court. Each hearing required money, more and more. I thought if I won the case, everything would be secure. I didn't want your enemies to take what you worked for. I wanted to protect your future. Emma's voice cracked. Protect my future. Mama, you destroyed my life. I sent enough for 10 houses, enough to change this family forever. And now, look. He pointed at the cracked walls. We are still here, still in this ancient ruin. His chest heaved, his body trembling as anger and despair clashed inside him. He staggered, clutching his chest. I worked in snow, Mama. I starved so you could eat. I froze so you could build. And now, I return to nothing. With a cry, Emma collapsed to the ground. His siblings screamed, rushing to his side. Villagers, hearing the commotion, gathered at the gate. They gasped as they saw Emma lying unconscious in the dust, his hands clenched, his face pale with anguish. Some villagers whispered, Is this not the man who was building a mansion? Where is it now? Others shook their heads sadly. All his sweat wasted. Betrayal has broken him. After some time, Emma stirred. He sat weakly, tears rolling down his cheeks. He looked around at the gathering crowd, then fixed his gaze back on his mother. I trusted you, he said softly, almost a whisper. From the first day I stepped into that snowy land, I thought of you. Every coin I earned, I sent. I denied myself food so that you would never hunger. And now, this is my reward. Mama wept openly, clutching the ground. My son, I thought I was doing right. I thought. Emma interrupted bitterly. Did you ever think of me, Mama? Of the years I bent my back? Of the letters I wrote with bleeding hands? You gambled my life on courtrooms. The villagers stood silently, watching the drama unfold. Shame weighed heavy in the air. From that day, Emma's story became the village's cautionary tale. At the stream, women whispered, Did you hear? Emma returned, but there is no mansion, no houses. Men shook their heads. He sent money for years. And yet he returned to the same mud house. How cruel. Children who once sang his name now looked at him with wide, pitying eyes. One evening, unable to bear the stares and whispers, Emma walked to the stream. He sat by the water, staring at his reflection. The once bright, ambitious young man now looked hollow, broken. He clenched his fists. I gave everything, and I return with nothing. How can I rise again? His tears fell into the water, rippling his reflection into fragments. For the first time, Emma felt the full weight of betrayal, not from strangers, but from the one person he trusted most. The eagle had not only fallen, it had broken its wings. The whispers in Izu grew louder with each passing day. Emma, once the village's pride, had become the subject of pity and gossip. Wherever he walked, he felt eyes on his back, voices murmuring, all those years abroad, and nothing to show. The shame was heavier than the snow he once shoveled. Each corner of the village reminded him of betrayal, the cracked mud walls, the abandoned foundation, the villagers' stairs, his mother's tear-stained face. One morning, he rose before dawn, packed his small suitcase, and stood in the courtyard. His siblings clung to him, begging him to stay. His mother, her voice trembling, cried, "Emma, my son, forgive me. Stay, and we will find a way forward." Emma looked at her, his sharp eyes dimmed with sorrow. "Mama, I cannot heal here. Every stone, every shadow reminds me of what I lost. I must go, or this place will bury me alive." Without another word, he lifted his suitcase and walked away. Villagers watched silently as he boarded a bus bound for Lagos. His mother wailed, but Emma did not look back. Lagos was a world of chaos and opportunity, a city alive with noise, honking cars, bustling markets, and towering buildings. Emma arrived with only his suitcase and the little savings he had carried back. He rented a tiny room in a crowded neighborhood, its walls thin, its ceiling leaking. But it was his, and it symbolized a fresh start. By day, he searched for work. By night, he planned his next steps. Soon, he found a position as a clerk in a small office. The pay was modest, but Emma knew how to stretch every naira. He worked diligently, recording transactions, organizing files, earning his employer's trust. He had lost everything once. He was determined never to be careless again. Emma lived simply, saving every coin. Instead of sending money home, he opened his first personal savings account. Each deposit felt like reclaiming a piece of his dignity. Slowly, opportunities opened. He began a small side business supplying office stationery. At first, he delivered goods on foot, carrying boxes through the bustling streets. Then customers grew, and with his savings, he bought a second-hand bicycle. From bicycle deliveries came contracts. From contracts came profit. Emma was no longer working for dreams written in someone else's letters. He was building with his own eyes, his own hands. One afternoon, in a Lagos cafe, Emma heard a familiar laugh. He turned, and there was Kofi, older now but still broad-shouldered, still carrying his hearty smile. "Emma!" Kofi shouted, embracing him. "You're here too." Emma nodded, smiling faintly. "Yes. Life broke me, but I refuse to stay broken." They sat together, sharing stories. When Kofi heard what had happened, he shook his head sadly. "I warned you, my brother. But you have risen again. That is what matters." Emma sipped his tea slowly. "Betrayal is a cruel teacher, Kofi. But I learned. I lost my wealth, but I gained wisdom. And wisdom will rebuild what money lost." Years later, Emma stood by the window of his modest Lagos apartment, the city skyline glowing with neon lights. He whispered to himself, "Papa, I could not build your house in Izu, but I am building here. Your dream did not die, it only changed shape." Emma had been betrayed, broken, humiliated, but he was not defeated. His scars became his strength. He learned that blind trust can ruin a man, but resilience can restore him. Deh Emma's story is a lesson for every dreamer. Work hard, but guard your future. Love your family, but do not surrender your life blindly. Wealth can be lost, but wisdom, once gained, can rebuild again. Emma walked out of betrayal into a new dawn. He did not return in glory to Izu, but in Lagos, he built a life of growth, strength, and wisdom.